Today's episode matters, and I've been looking forward to this conversation more than I can even explain, because this right here is my lane. This is the conversation I care about the most because I have lived it. I have fought through and I've watched way too many people stay stuck, doing everything they've been told to do, eating clean, taking supplements, trying to regulate the nervous system, showing up for their health, and still feeling exhausted, still dealing with brain fog, and still feeling like their body just isn't responding. And at some point, you have to start questioning yourself. What am I doing wrong? Why isn't this working? What else do I need to try? And that's where things start to spiral, because everywhere you look, there's another answer waiting, another plan, another protocol, another pill, another injection with ingredients you can't even pronounce.
Welcome to Root Cause Holistic Health. I'm Dr. John Harmon, physician, brain health expert, and your host on this no-fluff journey into whole body healing.
And I'm Tracey Green, wellness coach, mom, and co-host in this space where we get real about what actually heals, not just what's trending.
We're here to help you uncover what's really going on and empower you to take the next step in your healing journey.
And I need to say this clearly. We are not doing that today. I am not here to give you another fad diet. I am not here to stack more supplements. I'm definitely not here to tell you to inject something questionable and hope it fixes everything. We're going real today, cellular real. Because here's the truth, most people never hear. You can be doing everything right and your body can still not heal. Not because you're failing, but because your body can't use what you're giving it. And if your body can't use it, nothing lands the way that it should. So today we're going deeper into energy, into circulation, into what actually happens at the cellular level, where healing either happens or it doesn't. And I want you to listen to this differently, not looking for the next thing to try, but finally understanding why your body needs certain things and what your body needs. Now I want to bring in someone who has spent decades studying exactly this, Dr. Luke Bucci, clinical nutritionist and chief scientific officer at Juvenon. What I respect about his work is this. He's not just looking at what people are doing, he's actually looking at whether the body can actually respond to it. And that's the shift most people are missing. Dr. Bucci, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here and having this conversation.
Well, thank you very much, Tracey, for this opportunity. I want to make people get healthier and happier, and nutrition is one of the best ways to do that, but we can talk about anything that'll get us going there.
You know, people are doing the work. They're trying different things. They're investing in their health. Why would you say so many people are stuck in the fatigue, brain fog, burnout? Like, what's the reason?
Oh, gosh. Well, it is an energy kind of brownout that, and I think after going through years of all kinds of supplementation and clinical nutrition and diets, and I don't do drugs, of course, but after I got to Juvenon a few years ago, their number one product was Blood Flow 7. And I was thinking, okay, why blood flow and stuff? So I dug deep into the science like I love to do, and it kind of just hit me. And there was one little curvy graph. It was a curve of your nitric oxide production. This is getting kind of in the weeds already, but this is important. It's all about circulation. I mean, what happens if your circulation stops all of a sudden? Oh, you die. I mean, it's that important. Of course, that's like a heart attack, so that's extreme. And we're all doing that brownout thing. Okay, so what's going on with the circulation? I don't think people know. I don't think medical professionals know either. And most nutritionists don't even know this. I didn't know it was this bad until I saw this article from 2011, and it looked at nitric oxide production with age, and it looked at healthy versus unhealthy people. And sure enough, you start off 100%, and in healthy people, and I'm looking at the little graph so I can get this right, it starts to go downhill after 35, and by the time you're 70, it's at 40% of your nitric oxide production.
Wow.
And remember, nitric oxide is what opens up your blood vessels to give you blood flow when and where needed. Very elegant system. So that's healthy. That's the best. So you're already less than half of what you used to be, even if you're doing everything right. You're still good. You're still good. You can do things. You just can't run the marathon in the time you did when you were 35. All right.
Yeah.
Now, you get to unhealthy people. These are people that are obese, that smoke, that don't eat right, and have high blood sugar. They're just doing everything wrong, which is your average American, I think. And hopefully they won't try to hang me for that, but that's the way it is. Sorry. Okay, look at their little curve. They start off 75% of what the healthy people start off with at young ages. And by the time they're 30, they're like halfway. They're like half of 100%. They're 50% of their possible blood flow. And guess what? At 50, they're down below 20, down to 10%. And then the curve flattens because most people are dead after that if they're unhealthy, unfortunately. Yeah. And you have a few people hanging on at a very low level of their nitric oxide production. So they're not having a good time. They're not healthy. And they're ruining the curve for everybody is one way to look at it scientifically. So that just shocked me. That just shocked me. And I hate to tell that to people, but my dad was a pathologist. I grew up seeing dead people, and I saw the icky things that can happen to us. The heart attack that killed a gentleman who was obese just freaked me out. I didn't eat fat at all for years, and I was a little kid.
Wow.
Because it was the poor guy. He his coronary artery had a calcium block in it. I mean, his artery was rock. And I said, "Daddy, how did he get that way?" And he said, "Well, he ate like a pig." Okay, I'm not eating like a pig. My dad was really honest and brutal about things. So that's how you learn. So, okay, note to self, don't eat a lot of fat because you end up like him. And that was not good. So I'll say, so that relates to blood flow. And the heart blood flow revolves around the little coronary artery. And if it plugs up, your heart doesn't work as well. You don't get your blood flowing as well. Now, that is, of course, majorly dependent on diet. So we have to have a good diet, and that's what y'all do is help people to get onto the right diet. But so that just told me about how important blood flow really is.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, you mentioned something that I want to touch on a little bit, your dad. So is this how you got into this line of work? I'd like to go back a little bit, hear a little bit of your story, because that sounds fascinating. I'd like to take just a minute and go back.
Oh, love to. And so I was a kid seeing dead people. He was a pathologist. This is when they did real autopsies. Now you don't do them unless you're a forensic type of thing for cause of death. So they could put it on the death certificate and insurance pays up, that kind of thing. So I got to see all kinds of things. I got to see people from the inside out, so I could see what a lifetime of bad diets would do, or I could see somebody that was healthy. I tell you one thing, though. You look at a smoker's black lung and you will not smoke. Oh, wow, gosh.
I bet. Yep.
Oh, gosh. So I just was the kid that kept asking why. So I just wanted to know everything. And I realized growing up and wanting to get into medicine, but not be a medical doctor because the AMA kind of makes it not much fun.
Yes, that's true.
So he said, okay, well, who do you think tells the MDs what to do? And I go, I don't know. And he said, PhDs. Oh, yeah, a little light bulb goes off in my head. Okay, I'll be a PhD. So I got my PhD at MD Anderson Hospital, did a postdoc there. So I was working in the world's largest cancer hospital and learned a ton about that as well. So right then and there, I said, okay, I'm not going into research. I'm going to help people. Became a clinical nutritionist, and that wore me out. And they wouldn't do what I wanted them to. Okay, Dick, you need to do this, you need to do that, eat this, blah, blah. And they go, no, I'm going to do this. And it's like, okay, I can see that I'm going to start choking them out if they don't do it, or I got to do
Yep.
something else. So I actually then I got the wonderful opportunity to work for a dietary supplement company that's still going way in the past. And I never stopped. So I've always been kind of in the supplement world. Also ran a clinical testing lab with a fancy nutritional status test called SpectraCell Labs.
Okay.
It's a very interesting test. It measures what your cells really need, and that's different from just a dietary analysis. So in other words, I've kind of done everything you can do with nutrition and having fun with it. And at Juvenon, we're trying to be healthy while you age. And since I'm that age, it kind of was meant to be. So that's kind of the rundown. And I have a different perspective on things. So I think the blood flow is something that is ignored, and nobody really talks about it.
No, on the show, we talk about everything starts in your gut, but that goes even deeper than that. I mean, yes, a lot of ailments can start with things that we're eating, especially cancer and things like that. I know food has a lot to do with a lot of different ailments, but I love the fact that you're going even deeper than food, which is awesome. So when you're looking at symptoms, I know that you said you had clinical practice for a while, which I can relate to that. I think it's hard when you see all these things that people should be doing and then they don't. They're looking for the takeout instead of their organic meals at home, cooking at home. They're looking for that quick fix. So when we're looking at symptoms, are we looking at symptoms, or do you think we're missing something that should be deeper? You know what I mean? There's something deeper there.
Oh, that's like going down the rabbit hole. You don't know what you're going to get. But really, the biggest symptom is just fatigue, energy, loss of energy. People just say, "My get up and go, got up and went." So that means your energy metabolism is not all it can be. It's you're not getting enough blood to your brain, perhaps, so your brain's kind of slow, or you can't do what you used to do physically, because the blood flow is not. So it all kind of gets to the blood flow enters into energy metabolism right away. And that's because of oxygen. Your cells burn oxygen and food for fuel. And that's all in the mitochondria. So you want to make sure that you're getting enough oxygen to all your cells. And that's totally dependent on your blood supply, your blood flow. So that's what was an eye-opener for me after a long career, and then seeing that, well, wait a minute, this blood flow really is important. And once you realize that you got to take care of it all the time and be on that healthy side where you're still doing real well, and then that makes a difference. So that's why I'm kind of still working and not retired, not twiddling my thumbs or something.
Well, you mentioned mitochondria. How does that affect like your energy and hormones?
It does it in a very basic level. You don't make as much as you could or should, or other cells are signaling, hey, we need more TSH, or hey, we need more cortisol, we need more this or that. That's why a lot of hormone levels kind of decrease over time, especially the sex steroids like testosterone, estrogens, and things, progesterones, and all that family of hormones. Your cortisol starts to get out of control, so it tries to make you hold calories and cause fat to appear. Just poof, okay, I'm fat all of a sudden. Why? Oh, your cortisol's high. Well, that's because the other hormones weren't there to balance it out. And that's all because the blood flow and the glands that make the hormones, they don't work quite as the glands don't work quite as well as they used to. You get less of your hormones. So this kind of nitric oxide production curve kind of precedes, and then all the other curves that go downhill mirror that. So it's like, wait a minute, which came first? Chicken, egg? I'm going with the chicken here. Because no chicken, no eggs.
So I'm 49, and I think typically most women go down, you talk about rabbit hole, they go down, their doctors want them to go down the thyroid rabbit hole, or it sounds like there's another option here. There's blood flow issues. There's other issues that we should be looking at rather than thyroid, which is probably why women get the, oh, you're just fine, it's natural, when it's really not natural. There's something else going on that's deeper at a cellular level.
Absolutely, yes. And the mitochondria are little furnaces. They can reproduce. And one thing about mitochondria that freaked me out, and I hope the listeners will kind of get a mental picture on this, is in grad school, I had to go see these visiting professors and these boring old guys with their bald and have gray beards. Oh, wait a minute. Not me, but I try not to be boring, but these guys were boring. So one guy was there and he said, okay, we're going to show you pictures of the mitochondria. He was the first one to take little movie pictures in black and white. Tells you how old I am. About in a cell, there's a cell, you see all the little stuff going on in the cells, all these things moving around. Then all of a sudden you see this boom, boom, boom. Things are zipping around. It's like, what is that? And he goes, yeah, your mitochondria move around. They don't just sit there, stuck like you see in the pictures in a book. No, they're moving around. They go where they're needed. So they'll go to the nucleus when you want to have the cell divide and make more DNA. They go to your different parts of the cells that burn energy, like your glycogen. It goes there to take it out so you can make sugar, blood sugar, and boost it. In other words, they're like little helpers. They go around and dispense energy. And guess what happens when you get older? You have little fewer mitochondria. They don't move as fast. And because they're getting clogged up because of all the rust, which is free radical damage, because they generate free radicals just to make energy. That's why we all grow old and have these sort of problems. But the cells in your blood vessels are seeing all this. It sees the cholesterol. And that's why the blood flow goes downhill, because the blood flow is triggered by nitric oxide that's made on demand from your brain. Your brain nervous system controls your blood flow and blood pressure. So when you get stressed, your blood pressure goes up. And it does a lot of things you don't even realize that are going on all the time. And that's all nitric oxide dependent. So you always have enough arginine in your blood, which is the precursor for making nitric oxide. But it's the enzymes that start to get picked off because they're on the inside of your blood vessels. And when the brain nervous system says, okay, go ahead and open up this blood vessel, or okay, go ahead and close down this blood vessel right here. So it controls your blood flow so that you can exercise and you can calm down and you can get stressed and be ready for any kind of action. So the nitric oxide enzyme that does all this, it slowly goes downhill too. That's why you make less nitric oxide. So just giving arginine, okay, well, just giving more arginine, you have to take a massive handful amount of arginine a day to keep your blood flow nitric oxide production going. That's just not right. Okay, so what's going on here? And then beetroots. Okay, let's just give nitric oxide. Now, nitrates and nitrites. So it's a whole system using nitrites, which we get from healthy plant foods. And it's not just beets, or arugula, the greens, etc. They also have a lot of nitrates. Nitrates aren't too bad, but they need to be converted to nitrites, and then that your body has a system to convert that to nitric oxide. But that's kind of all over the place, and it's not real specific, and it's not always what your blood vessels are wanting to do. So there's two nitric oxide systems. One is the kind that you make from arginine on the blood vessel itself, second by second, minute by minute, every day, all the time, and it automatically adjusts. So when you stand up, you don't pass out because your blood vessels change where the blood's going, goes to the head, so you don't pass out and conk your head when you fall. It automatically. So that's what the nitric oxide from arginine does. So there's ways to boost that, of course, with different supplements, but eating a high plant food diet gives you plenty of background nitric oxide. So that's why it's a healthy diet, because then you can use the arginine you have to change your blood flow and get the oxygen to the mitochondria. That's the big, long circle of life there.
I love that. So you spoke a little bit on circulation. So what happens if your circulation is off? Can you break down circulation and the importance of circulation with, with blood flow and everything?
Yes, the problem with less circulation is your mitochondria are still generating energy, ATP, and they make free radicals too. And those free radicals need to be broken down and removed. And obviously, the blood flow is what picks them up and helps get rid of them. And the breakdown. So all different kinds of breakdown products end up in mostly your urine or your breath or your stool. So
Oh, wow.
again, the blood flow is what helps get rid of the waste. You have to have garbage men too to get rid of the garbage so you don't drown like New York City does in a garbage strike.
I love that.
Yeah. Cities are just like little people, I think, in a way. They have brains. They sometimes don't have brains, and they have circulation, and they have little cells, which are the people, and they have a structure, which is your body. So, yep. So anything that happens to a city happens in you, except we're a little more complicated. And we have molecules that run it instead of little people or brooms, for example. So you have to kind of go into the cell level, and that's where it all begins. So if you get your mitochondria healthy, that is a good start. That means it can make enough ATP for your cells to do what they're supposed to do. So if they make energy, then it trickles up, and then you start feeling more energetic because you don't have the waste that's actually slowly pickling you, and that's that bottom end of the curve I described early on in this. So that's kind of where everything starts, is it's making cell energy in every cell, and as much as it wants, but not too much, just the right amount.
So you mentioned making your mitochondria healthier. Is there a number one, number two thing that you recommend to making your mitochondria more healthy?
Yeah, exercise. Believe it or not, exercise. Mitochondria are kind of remnant ancient proteobacteria. They're bacteria, and they merged with other cells to become what we call mitochondria. So they have their own system. They have their own DNA. Yeah, own DNA. They're like their own little bitty cells inside of our cells, and they can reproduce themselves. So when they need more, when you get a lot of oxygen stress or a need for oxygen, they signal that, hey, we need more oxygen, we need more mitochondria. Okay, let's crank them out. Boom, there you go. And same thing, if you don't use them, you lose them.
Wow.
Simple.
Yeah.
So all about the mitochondria. And then more mitochondria, more ATP, so you can do whatever the cell needs to do, and the cell does what it needs to do, your tissue does what it needs to do, your organs need to do what they need to do, and you need to do what you need to do. So it just goes up the ladder. So it all starts with that little mitochondria, and that's where energy comes from. So it's not like caffeine stimulant energy. It's just your basic, I feel good today. I feel fine. I'm ready to take on the world. That's the kind of energy that mitochondria give you, and you're supposed to have. Now, you can speed it up a little bit with caffeine, and then you have a price to pay later, probably. Adrenal fatigue, I think you would know a lot about, and that's a common, I guess, cause of energy burnout and just people not feeling energetic. So it's all the mitochondria. Now, so exercise is what stimulates making more mitochondria, and the muscles have a lot of mitochondria, so then they'll burn a lot of energy, which means you can burn more fat. And if you eat well and exercise, it's still the right thing to do. That's number one. You got to exercise. And anything
I love that.
And we're finding out with the GLP-1 RA craze. I don't call them GLP-1s. That's a lie. Your body has GLP-1. These drugs are GLP-1 RAs. I won't go down that rabbit hole. So they're telling us how important the mitochondria really are too, because all of a sudden you're starving, and you're starving yourself. So the mitochondria aren't happy, and what do you lose? Muscle. You lose muscle.
Right.
not a good idea if you're going to have long-term health. So they're now realizing that, okay, all of y'all go in the gym and do strength training. What? How? So fortunately, I worked for Leader Nutrition back in the bodybuilding days, with Arnie. He actually gave us a big talk to the whole company. So it's like, I need to get in there and pump iron. And I gained like 24 pounds of pure muscle. It was getting to the point where if I make one false move, this is going to crush me. So it's like, okay, that's good enough. This works. So yeah, you want to keep your muscles up. And that's the most important thing after just feeding the mitochondria. So in other words, just exercise training, strength training preferred. You can do all the aerobics you want to. That's good. But most marathon runners die of heart attacks. And when they get old, they do get older. And that's because the muscle mass goes away. And you lose your nitric oxide and you don't run like you used to. So you go, I'm not running like I used to. I'm not doing that anymore. This is no fun. So there you go. You start losing muscle, you lose mitochondria, and et cetera. Then you're on the other end of that curve. Go from the top to the bottom of the curve. Bummer. So anyway, that's kind of my view on things. And of course, I work for supplement companies, so I've experimented on myself and my dogs and my wife.
Oh, I want to hear all about this. Yeah, so let's talk about the supplements. Let's get into that. I love that.
Real quick, yeah, I think number one for the mitochondria is the coenzyme Q10 or ubiquinol. Yeah. Ubiquinone is the fancy name. Ubiquinol is a better form of coenzyme Q10, but since I've been taking coenzyme Q10 for decades, I still take it because I'm old-fashioned that way, but ubiquinol is a good way to start, I think. It's a little more efficient. You take half as much, and it works as well as the coenzyme Q10. It's the same thing. And that's the little switch that flips oxygen into energy in the mitochondria. That ubiquinol is the catalyst. It goes from ubiquinone, coenzyme Q10, to ubiquinol, back and forth. Back and forth, back and forth. It's just a little flip in the molecule. And that little flip generates a spark, and that's what puts the last P on the ATP, so you have energy. And then it sends it off to the cell to do whatever it needs to do. So that is, and your coenzyme Q10 levels go down with age, and supplementation does keep it up. And I had the good fortune to visit the co-discoverer of coenzyme Q10, Dr. Carl Folkers, because he was at University of Texas and happened to be there at the same time. So I said, I got to just drop in and say hi, and it lasted all day. And holy cow. So I've read most of his papers, and at other supplement companies, we sold coenzyme Q10. So I learned about that, started to take it, and I still take it. I think it's far more important than a multivitamin mineral, which most of us actually don't need, but still, then I tell people, okay, I do CoQ, and if you want to live longer, that's a good idea. But you got to have vitamin D3, you have to have omega-3s, and you have to have magnesium. If you do those three things and then add CoQ, you're pretty good. I think you're going to live longer for sure. So that's kind of the simplest way to do it. You don't need all these pills. I try things out, but those are the things that I think make the biggest difference. And if I don't do any of those four things, I notice it. So it's like, okay, keep doing that. So yeah, vitamin D3, magnesium, and omega-3s, and CoQ if you want to live longer. But omega-3s, I have a caveat. Too much omega-3s is not good. It's very attractive to free radicals, and it tears you up. And people don't realize that when omega-3s were first figured out by the Danish researcher who, okay, go see why those Eskimos live longer and they eat a ton of fat, because now in the 60s and 70s, they realized fat is killing us. It's clogging our arteries. But these Eskimos, dang them, they're all old and they don't have heart disease, because Greenland was part of Denmark, still is. Depending upon, don't listen to the politicians. Greenland is still part of Denmark. And so he was a nice shiny postdoc. Okay, I'll go find out what their deal is. They eat all this fat. Something's different. So he tinkered around and he realized that their fat was different. It was almost all omega-3s because blubber.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
it's antifreeze for fish and mammals up there, and that's all they have to eat. And then you put the Eskimo and Inuits and Aleuts into a Western-based society, and they get loaded with diabetes and cancer, and just like the rest of us. So, okay, omega-3s are important, but they could get by with a lot of omega-3s because they have genetic differences that allow them to break it down without causing free radicals as much as the rest of us. So it is they were adapted to take on a huge omega-3 load. Most of us aren't. So enter krill oil. Mm-hmm. And Juvenon does not sell krill oil, but I used to at Schiff. And I learned all about it, and I said, this is it. This is the right way to do it. Okay, look at omega-3s real quick. How long do we have?
Yeah, right.
I'll go quick. Omega-3s, the only thing, they don't get burned for energy. They don't get stored as fat because they go rancid, and that would pickle you and you die soon. And you get weeded out of the gene pool, basically. So what they do is one thing, and they make anti-inflammatory signals. Those little prostaglandins, eicosanoids, all those little things that nobody can pronounce. They are in your cell membranes, and they're on your phospholipids in your cell membranes, and that's all they do, and that's the only place they go. But if you add up all your cell membranes in your cell, it's like the very tiny part of the tip of your pinky. That's how much cell membrane you have. So you don't need a ton of omega-3s to get them into your cell membranes. But krill oil, half of krill oil is the exact same molecule in your membranes. Otherwise, you have to take fish oil, take all the omega-3s apart, you have to stick them onto all the phospholipids, you got to move them around and get them in the cells. No, krill oil just, goes right into the cell. Boom, soluble in water, soluble in blood, soluble in cells. So one little pill is all it takes of krill oil. And you've saturated your membranes with the exact same phospholipid that makes anti-inflammatory signals to counteract all the inflammatory signals, which we're always getting too much of. So with fish oil, you have a lot of waste. You have to burn up all those omega-3s, and that releases more free radicals. So the drug companies found out the hard way when they decided to make pure omega-3s and give you like 5-10 grams, and we'll lower your triglycerides, but not your cholesterol. But they also found out that it caused a lot of other problems, and you sort of don't see that being advertised anymore.
Right. No, of course not.
Because they were pickling the very thing they were trying to save. It's insane, but they just didn't look at the body.
Oh, my gosh. Wow.
I mean, if I can figure this out, anybody can.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. So we talk a lot about stress. How would you say, like a nervous system? So how would you say the nervous system impacts cellular energy and healing?
Okay, stress is mental stress is what we're going to call. Physical stress is exercise, and if you don't overdo it too much, it's good. It's the right way to have. It's the right kind of stress. But mental stress, though, is not good because it releases the adrenal hormones and it releases cortisol. Your body is trying to fight or flight. And if it can't do either, it continues to try to do it. So that will make your body try to burn energy and store energy at the same time. It sounds oxymoronic, but what it's trying to do is give you instant energy. So it raises your, guess what, blood sugar. And then it releases, makes some fats go out too. But then it starts to restore as soon as you get less stress. So then you get into this downward spiral of getting, I don't know where this fat came from. Oh, I'm not overeating. I'm not exercising like I know I should, but it's the stress. So that starts the downward spiral, and it also, it does affect the brain too. But I think that's a different story. So in other words, there's a physical risk to mental stress. Now you can't just make it go. Oh, I'm not going to have mental stress now. I can't pay any of my bills. I'm going to go to jail, but I don't have any stress. No problem. No, you can't wish it away. So you can support your body with just making the mitochondria work better and exercise and eating the best diet you can. So, gosh, it really, diet is so big and terrible at the same time. I just, like my dad said, he ate like a pig. Don't eat like a pig. Don't overeat anything. Just eat enough and eat a lot of plant foods. Things get better. You don't have to be, I don't care. Don't be picky. Just do the right thing. You know what it is. Just start doing it. Because that stress and those hormones are wanting instant energy, so they make you eat more sweets, more sugars, more carbs than you should. And along with that, our food supply system is figured out if you put fat, people love that because your brain does too. So yeah, we're kind of addicts to anti-stress foods, but that's if we're constantly under stress. And animals under stress, rats in a cage, they don't live long as they should. Neither do we. So yeah, don't. So we're going to have stress. We got to have stress, but just again, exercise helps the most. I think eating right helps the most, and the supplements can beef all that up as well, especially for the mitochondria.
Right. So anyway, it feels like going back to the basics, right? Eating healthy, eating clean, exercising. And I know the older we get, the more we need to focus on absolutely walking every day and lifting weights. That's super important for as we age. So for someone listening right now, what would you say? You work for a supplement company. I've been all over your website. There's a lot of different things that I'm definitely interested in. But for someone listening right now, they're thinking, oh my gosh, this is me, the brain fog, the fatigue, I'm doing everything right, I'm eating clean. What would you suggest? Where do they start?
Well, that would be the blood flow 7, and that helps your body make nitric oxide. It has a different form of arginine that's patented, and I thought, this is BS or nonsense and stuff. And I looked into it, and it's like, holy cow! Now I know how it works, because we don't notice this, but our blood vessels have a silicate cover. In other words, silicate is like rock, right? But no, there's a soluble silicate. So what that does is it has these the enzymes that make nitric oxide to control blood flow, whatever your brain wants to do. It's stuck there in the silicates. It's kind of like a way it can stay on there and hang on. It's kind of like hooks and grapples. So this arginine is an arginine silicate. It's different. So it just sticks right there next to the enzyme that's going to use it whenever it needed. Otherwise, arginine's floating around, and it has to kind of diffuse in and happen to get into your enzyme. So in other words, you can just prioritize and emphasize the blood vessels making nitric oxide better with that kind of arginine, and makes the nitric oxide easier on demand, not too much and not too little, because nitric oxide is a free radical. O2, oxygen, O2, it's actually a double free radical, and that's why we can burn it for energy. That's why you pop it out, you get this energy in the mitochondria. But it's still a free radical, and that's why your mitochondria spew some free radicals. Nitric oxide is you take one of those oxygens and put a nitrogen in there, nitric oxide. It's still a free radical, and it'll spontaneously blow up in a couple of seconds. And body's always getting rid of that garbage too. But it's very tiny amounts, which is nice. So a little bit of this arginine silicate stuff can make the right amount of nitric oxide, which then is poofed, it disappears, and can get its waste products can be cleared out. That kind of concerns me about the beetroot, which has a lot of nitrites and nitrates, which your bodies use for your lungs and your airways and your stomach and your mouth to generate nitric oxide, which, being a free radical, will kill bugs, microbes. So it really helps your immune system fight enemies. And guess what you make when you're inflamed? Nitric oxide from a different enzyme that is like, okay, we're going to kill this. So you pour acid and nitric oxide on it. We're going to melt it with nitrous acid and because it is supposed to go away. But if you're constantly inflamed or constantly have infections, the free radical side will eventually start pickling you too. So that's why I worry about too much beetroot, is that you can get plenty of nitric oxide too, but most of it is targeted elsewhere in the body, which is where it should be and normally is. So it's kind of a whole weird situation. It's very complicated, and the body is super fine-tuned with what it does with this nitric oxide, because it's like, okay, we're going to carry all this nitroglycerin around and don't trip and fall. So that's what the nitric oxide thing is. You need it. It's like oxygen. Can't live with it. Can't live without it. It's just how our bodies work. So making the right amount at the right time in the right place, that's what the arginine silicate does, and polyphenols from a plant food diet and from beets too help protect everything. And that's super important as well. So yes, eat your vegetables.
I am mostly vegetarian. I'll have a bite or two of steak every now and then. I definitely don't eat chicken anymore because you can't get decent non-antibiotic chicken anymore. But so it's good to hear that my diet of mostly, fruits and veggies, and I definitely take, supplements and minerals, but it's definitely good to hear that I'm on the right track. And I'm a runner too. So you talked about, marathon runners. The whole heart attack. I haven't run a marathon. I've done a couple half marathons, but that's interesting. A little ways back, you spoke about your dog. I know that you're a dog person, and you said you've even, tried some supplements on your pups. So first, I want to know what kind of dogs you have, because I'm also a dog lover. I have Rottweilers and a Shorkie. So I want to know what kind of dogs you have, and then I want to talk just a little bit about the supplements that you tried with them, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, they're my willing guinea pigs, and they take coenzyme Q10, and they live a little longer than they're supposed to. And they're French bulldogs. They're a breed that's not for everybody. They're a dwarf mutant breed to begin with. They all have spinal vertebra problems. Their bones are misformed. A lot of them end up with the little wheelies on the rear ends if you're not careful with it. Oh,
yeah, yep.
So, but they're very muscular. They're very happy. They're very. They think they're people. Yeah. We've I'm up to 5 now. We've had as much as 7 at a time, but
goodness.
And we've bred them. We've showed them. My wife's been to Westminster with 2 of them. Didn't win, but just getting there is like she knows what she's doing. So they're in top shape. They need exercise, like same as we do. So we always have to so we don't give them a lot of long walks because they're not built for it. But they do exercise. They chase squirrels, they chase bunnies in the yard. They have a good time. They chase each other. So they're a different kind of breed. I don't think they're for everybody. Just be aware that they do have a lot of inherent problems because they're just been English bulldogs squished into about 1/3 of the size. Something's got to give. But they're very bright. They're very human-like.
Oh yeah.
So you just got to love them. And so I've made them, for the most part, live longer, but they do tend to get cancer if you're, which is probably because of being dwarfisms. So if they don't get cancer, they live a good double-digit time. I mean, they're not 20, 30 years old, but if you can get 1 to 10, you're doing really well. Because sooner or later that spine is going to catch up and cause problems with mobility, and then you have a downer dog and stuff. And we have Nevada Frenchie Rescue. We've rescued 89 of them so far in the state.
I love that.
Oh my! The people that take them in are just the most beautiful people in the world, and those dogs get to live a happy life, no matter where they came from, what happened to them. We've rescued puppies. We've had to remove kidneys, taken eyes out. These poor dogs were just abused, let's say. But it was fun to rescue them and give them good homes.
Oh, I love that. I love how we can pull a little bit of personal story out of some of these interviews too. You always want to know, more about people, make it real, right? With the world of AI and everything else we're
Oh,
inundated with right now, I love to pull some real stories out of interviews so we can really, touch the hearts and get to know a little bit more about you as well. So we've covered a lot. Is there anything you can think of that, we didn't touch on that we should have, especially with all the supplement lines that you have and things like that?
well, I could go on. I've literally talked 3 days in a row until my voice croaked out. Literally, I was training clinical nutritionists, and so I would bore people to death. And my wife reminds me of that every day because I do it to her. But really, I have to say, start with your body. Start with moving. Start with exercise. I mean, I personally walk and after I joined a gym, I gained back some of my muscle mass I lost for not being able to work out for a while because working too hard. So it is a balance. You need to exercise. You need to make time to do it. You need to do both the aerobic and the strength training. Weightlifting is as good as the easiest strength training. You can still build muscle by doing certain kind of plyometrics and other things, but you have to know what you're doing, need expert help. But weightlifting, just don't do too much. Do more reps than more pounds is the way I like to look at it. You will go more pounds, but don't push it because you can pull things too and hurt yourself. And keep going, keep walking, running, whatever you can do. My bow legs won't let me run long distances. I tried, and all my buddies are long distance runners, and 440 for me is pretty good. So I do long walks up and down the hills here in Reno, and that'll get your heart going. So get the heart going, and then just try to eat right. You don't have to be perfect. Today's my birthday, so it's a cheat day. I get birthday cake.
De Mayo. I love that. Happy birthday.
CC.
Yep.
CC Senorita.
Love that.
And so obviously just don't eat too much. Try not to eat all the processed foods if you can help it. You can't help it all the time. But just try to eat real food. But really, we switch from your 4 square dinners to a salad with lean meat. And got to watch the dressing. I usually use balsamic vinegar instead of all the goopy stuff. Or you use good oil, like olive oil. I use olive oil and balsamic. And take a hint from the longer-lived peoples that eat enough, but not too much. And they get a lot of vegetables and a lot of raw fruits and vegetables and lean meat. Eggs are good. The fat is good. It's not a bad fat at all. In fact, it's a phospholipid. Guess what? And just like the krill oil in a way. So in other words, I think that's kind of the easy part of it. Just do those things more than not. And then it's up to your genetics. We all have that baggage. And fortunately, all my relatives of both sides have done pretty well. So mom's still going, and I'm old, so she's really old. And same for my wife. Some of her relatives are old, and the ones that didn't do things right didn't make it very far. So you see it. You see it in your family. So just do the best you can, and the rest will work out. Those 4 supplements I mentioned, the D3, omega-3s, magnesium, and coenzyme Q10 or ubiquinol. That's good enough of a supplement regimen if you want to live longer and not break the piggy bank. Try other things. Creatine will help build muscle.
Yes. Yes, of course.
But stories. But enough of that. So just keep it simple. KISS.
Yes, I love that. And we'll link the supplement website in the show notes. Is there anything else about your website or getting in touch with you that you'd like to tell our audience, or anything like that?
Oh gosh, I try not to. If I start answering questions, I won't be able to do my job. So, but that's what the website is for at juvenon.com. Juvenon.com. And there's all kinds of propaganda there to tell you all about what we have and just how your body works. And just keep looking. Be very, very careful with social media and information. And if I could find AI's heart, I would stab it, because it's just like 1984. War is peace and all that. AI is not I. It's dumbing us all down. You think you're an expert, and you're skimming it. I dig deep, and I find that I find things wrong with AI all the time when I ask it a question, and then I know what I know what the answer is, and it's like, dude, you missed it. That's like first grade stuff. Come on, you're going to mislead people. So your body's more complicated than that.
Well, I love the website. I was looking for show prep. I was looking it up and down, and some of the supplements on there. I'm very excited to order some and try some. So I'm very glad we have this conversation, Dr. Luke, and you were on the show today on your birthday, no less. I feel like that's extra special. I got to spend some time with you today. So again, happy birthday.
Thank you. Can I do one more little tip about supplements in general? Your body has about a 3 to 4 month turnover time for its cells and how it handles things. So a lot of people take something once and go, I don't know if anything, this stuff sucks, I'm going to throw it out, and forget about it. It's all blah, blah, blah. No, give your body 3 to 4 months on anything. That's when things happen. And because that's how nutrition, you don't lose weight all of a sudden if you go on a diet. It takes weeks, months. Same with subs. It's food. So that's the other clincher. Sorry, I'll shut up now.
No, you're right. I love that. I say that all the time. People don't, if someone's 70 years old, it took you a long time to get there. You're not going to undo 70 years of damage. If you're really overweight, they expect to, lose weight with a pill or a shot healthily. You've got to go to the gym. I would love to go to the gym one time and get abs. Unfortunately, you have to eat right, work on your supplements and go to the gym multiple times before you get the six-pack or whatever. So I'm really glad you brought that up.
Put down the phone and go pump some iron.
Well, get outside. We talked about that earlier. More kids need to get away from the screens and get outside. I think if more moms understood how detrimental these screens are to their little kids, and I'm seeing them younger and younger. You got little babies that are holding tablets. It's messing up their eyes, their brains. Yeah. At a cellular level, I can't even imagine. Yeah.
They're going to end up like this. It's a thing.
Yeah, neck down, that neck issues. Oh my gosh. Oh, well, we've had chiropractors on the show too that are talking about how they're calling it text neck, or they're having issues with they're not growing correctly. You have kids that aren't growing correctly because you're right, they're holding their head down so long at an early age. Oh, it's bad. It's really bad. And then the blue light, forget about it. Yeah.
Yeah, look at the stars at night. That'll help. Oh, gosh.
Well, they're not getting that first light, and what all of that does with your circadian rhythm, getting that first light and getting the melatonin in the morning so you can sleep at night. There's so much. We could go on for days, probably. What you said, you've talked for 3 days till you lost your voice. We could definitely do that. But I really appreciate you spending some time with me today. I'm very grateful and thankful that we were able to shed some light at a cellular level, for sure.
Well, thank you very much for having me on this show, Tracey. I like to get the knowledge out. It doesn't do any good if it's trapped in my head. And if everybody's healthier, the world's a better place. We'll eventually get to world peace if we do it right, but we're still trying. But so I'm going to put in my 2 cents to give it a shot.
One episode at a time. I love that. If you're still stuck, stop adding more. Start going deeper at a cellular level. That's the shift. That's the root. Share this episode if it hit you. And as always, stay grateful, stay grounded. Until next time, friends.
Thanks for tuning in to Root Cause Holistic Health. We're here to help you uncover what's really going on and empower you to take the next step in your healing journey.
Whether you're a mom, a dad, or just someone ready to stop settling for Band-Aid fixes, we hope today's episode gave you something to think about.
If you found this episode valuable, do us a favor, share it with someone you love, and leave a review so we can reach more families like yours.
Make sure to hit follow so you don't miss next week's episode. We've got more honest conversations, practical tips, and root cause wisdom coming your way.
Until next time, stay grounded, stay curious, and most of all, stay connected to what truly matters.
We'll see you next time on Root Cause Holistic Health.